and welcome. You are watching the weekly brief here on News 9. I am Krishna Kumar, and joining us on this special edition of the weekly brief is Mr. Rakesh Kar, who is our editor, English cluster for the TV9 network. Rakesh, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us. And we have none other than Sri Ramakrishnan, our editor for international at the TV9 network. Sri, great to have you with us here on the weekly brief, and a very important week in the context of things, a week where Prime Minister Modi turned 75. Turning 75 is a milestone in itself for anybody, but look at, he completes 11 years in office with another 3 to 4 more to go, and he turns 75. Rakeshji, the world's attention was on him, not just the nation's attention this week.
So there are so-called bucks outside of India as well. So, just to summarize, I'm borrowing from the lexicon of Mr. Modi. He goes into these acronyms, and I also like, crafting a story around those acronyms. So I have this 5C, so to say, orientation. Mr. Modi brand persona belongs to these 5 C's. First and foremost is credibility. Credibility is very close to news genre. And it's as close to Mr. Modi because when I say credibility, he has delivered what he has promised. Article 370, Ram Mandir, Triple Talaq, NAC, that went back here and forth. But essentially, he's someone who believes in delivering what he has promised. And these are promises which have been dormant for about 70 years. That's first C. Second C is conviction. He believes earnestly in what he is trying to do. There is no reflection, no wavering, no dilution, no second thinking, no doubt. He is so focused. And that brings to the third C, which is commitment. His commitment is reflected in many avatars. His work integrity to begin with. He's a 24/7, and someone said 26/7 politician. And that's how politics is all about. He would beat the news channels. We know news channels also take a break in between in the night.
The Prime Minister doesn't.
The Prime Minister doesn't. Supposedly that's what we hear, and that's what the whole world knows now. Okay. That's the third C. Fourth C is consistency. Mr. Modi has not dwarfed in any way from what he doesn't believe in. There can be a huge political academic debate on whether that's right or wrong, but he has never wavered. Mr. Modi is so steadfast and consistent in what he believes he should do. And lastly is courage. Political courage. He has risked entire political acumen so many times, from demonetization to sending bomber jets across the line, calling Pakistan's nuclear bluff.
To farm laws.
So in that sense, all this brings in 2 additional characters, which is called character and charisma. And if it was not for charisma, there would not have been all world leaders, so to say, singing pines in his favor, which we all love.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, it's not just a very successful Indian Prime Minister's birthday. It's a very successful world leader's birthday.
Now, so this brand Modi, it's not just the biggest political brand in India. It's not only the most enduring brand in India, but it's also a brand which India has exported to the rest of the world. As an example statesman, people might accuse me of sounding like a bug, but I truly believe in the essential brand qualities which Mr. Modi represents as a politician are truly unique to him. I think these are very intrinsic and genuine to the man. Which is why you see that the brand has cachet across political spectrum, whether it is an older voter, whether it's a younger voter, a college kid, or someone who's a government employee or a private sector employee. This is a brand that appeals across the spectrum in India. And why is that? It's because Mr. Modi represents something which was absent from the Indian political life for a very long time, which is probity. He's not corrupt. And he brings a lot of conviction, like Rakesh, very eloquently talked about the 5 C's. But these are some authentic qualities which Mr. Modi brings to Indian politics, and which is why I think he's the most enduring and probably the largest, and without doubt the largest political brand in India.
Branding today is all about authenticity. And talk about authenticity when it comes to Prime Minister Modi. And while going through all that media coverage about Prime Minister Modi's 75th birthday, one thing that stood out was that entire story of how he came from humble beginnings. That is being repeated across the world. I know some might think it's a cliche, but the fact of the matter is that the world's biggest democracy.
So, Krishna, I think the humble beginning, I think, is a little bit of an oversold story, because if you look at Indian politics, a lot of our politicians do come from, traditionally, whether it's at the state level or the central level, they do come from humble backgrounds. But where Mr. Modi stands apart is that he's kept his family away from politics, and he is not on a trip to amass wealth for himself or for his generations of of progeny to come. Which is the typical problem you've seen across Indian politics.
And if I may add, Shri, you do a show on brands. Brands have a certain character. If you study global brands which have endured through ages and decades, they've tired out in their fatigue. They have to reimagine themselves. Some of the best known brands through the corporate as also the product have reimagined themselves. Mr. Modi, as Chief Minister, was one brand. Mr. Modi as Prime Minister, term 1, term 2, term 3, he has constantly reimagined. He came to the center with zero knowledge, supposedly, of foreign policy. Yeah. Today, he's being treated and feted and also criticized as a global leader. So in that sense, he's constantly brought value. What I bring to the table today, at this moment, that's what defines Mr. Modi. Right. So, he's constantly learning, unlearning, and that's what he loves about facing challenges as well.
Absolutely. And also, it's also a great time to take stock of, some of the important moves that India as a country has made in the last 11 years, and for which he has been single-handedly responsible, especially, the digital penetration, the JAM trilogy, so to speak, from Jandan to Aadhaar to mobile, and then you're talking about, that includes the entire India stack, UPI, Absolutely. All of which have been Modi-era innovations meant for the common man, and that's the reason why you're probably seeing the kind of resonance that you did. Many are using their UPI and celebrating Prime Minister Modi's birthday.
So, to be fair, many of these aspects were already in play. Let's say the Aadhaar was not a BJP, creation.
But the trilogy got formed during his time.
Correct. So that's where the smartness of and the savviness of Mr. Modi comes in, where he's able to piece together disparate pieces to create a multiplier effect of his policies, which truly is unique in some sense.
And also,
to my mind, Rakesh, I think the most defining...
Aadhaar, the most important point is he not only owned the template, he owned the person who made the template.
Correct.
That's not an elegant.
No, so I think the most defining feature of his last 10 years or 11 years as Prime Minister, I would also say that where else in the world have you seen 240 million people lifted out of poverty? 240 million people. That is no easy achievement for any government. So I think that's a huge achievement and accomplishment because of the consistent growth we've had over the last 10 years.
Yeah. And his ability to convert what he says apda into opportunity, avasar.
Yeah, everything from COVID onwards.
No, now look at the pressure that he was under, from US, which is still, a challenge till date. Yeah. But, the way he has maneuvered that, he's not buckled under pressure. Yeah. Everybody is looking at him in terms of his ability to spring surprises on the most powerful people. That, try some picture in Beijing, in Tianjin, actually. Tianjin, these three gentlemen were there. He created an impression as if it's a new world order. So he has worked hard at it in that sense. But, I think when you do an objective assessment, we also have to be a little dispassionate. There are obviously very, very clear, distinct pluses to his, CV. But there are, I would say, shortcomings and failings. I don't hesitate to use that word.
Okay.
Fair
enough. Now that I didn't know whether I should bring it up or you're going to bring it up. Since you brought it up, let's be on that subject. Where do you think are, where the critics, have got that one over Modi in the last 11 years? Where do you think, the chinks in the armor lie?
No, I mean, critics have an ideological prism. I'm saying genuine criticism, what I call constructive criticism. Yeah. I'm not getting into the political debate.
Absolutely.
A political debate today is that Modi Modi has created the political Hindu. I say political Hindu was there dormant because there's a political Christian, there's a political Muslim. Yeah. Let's face the reality. Yeah. He only, so to say, saw that opportunity, converted that into an ideology, and that got converted into political ism. Coming back to his genuine shortcomings that I feel, the way he rolled back the farm law, I think it's a huge setback because with that kind of mandate, we all go by numbers. It's the tyranny of numbers in Indian democracy, and all democracies live by numbers. With 323 on board, if he could not roll the biggest reform that he initiated, and he talked about when he came into the picture in New Delhi, the other one, land acquisition. These are two intrinsic economic reforms which are still pending. And one of them he brought in, actually two of them he brought in. The first one was in the term 1, when he was accused of Sood Ki Sarkar. He, so to say, chickened out, if I can use that word. And then second is, the farm law. I hope that even with a slightly truncated mandate this time, he has shown great political acumen in bringing in allies and creating one strong body. He is stronger than he was a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I expect him to go back to this core agenda because that is linked to Viksit Bharat 2047.
One thing linked to that.
Just on I think what I would call the unfinished agenda. I think we still have some years left where many of these things can be accomplished. But I think significantly, one of the things which I would like Mr. Modi to do as he works towards the Viksit Bharat goal of 2047, 30 trillion economy, is to unleash the power of the Indian medium startup, like medium-sized startups.
MSMEs.
We have to create our own Mittelstand, like Germany already has done over so many decades. There is no reason that a country of 84 million people, which is Germany, should have an economy which is bigger than India's, which has 1.4 billion people. So we have to truly unlock the potential of our own people. We have to skill them. We have to unleash the entrepreneurial spirit of our enterprises. So what does it require? It needs access to capital. It needs ease of doing business. It literally means unshackling the creative energy of our enterprises. So unless we do that, we will, the dream of a Viksit Bharat will remain a moving, target for us, Krishna. I think. But if you're able to tap into what we often call the demographic dividend of this country, if you don't tap into it, I think it's going to remain a moving target for us. 2047 could get pushed to 2057 or
even further.
Yes, further, yes.
I mean, one more point on that. One is the MSMEs, which is still, awaiting opportunity to happen. We've been constantly talking about that. The other big one is corporate India. Mr. Modi, when I mentioned courage and conviction, he cut corporate taxes at a time when he was accused of being pro-capital. But he has failed to, engineer that, capex growth from private sector. I think, this government, with all its right intentions, the corporate tax cut has been little, soft on, so to say, marshalling the corporate sector into putting in their part of the, responsibility for driving the India growth story.